I'm Paula Fellingham, and I'm honored to be with you today. I was invited to share my thoughts on self-leadership. I love the term self-leadership because it speaks to the ability to manage, control, guide, and govern oneself. It's been my experience that those who can do this attract followers easily. Many of the greatest leaders in history were masters at self-leadership, which always comes before leading the masses. During our brief time together, let's look at 5 of the things that we can all do to excel in self-leadership. I'd like to suggest that we believe and become, shift and shine, eliminate ego, lighten up and love, and promote peace. Now let's go back to that first one, believe and become. Friends, within each one of us is a power we scarcely tap. This power has fueled heroic deeds since time began, and it's energized great inventors and artists and musicians throughout the ages. It's the exact same power available to each of us every day of our lives. It's the power of belief. Author Dale Carnegie said, "Believe you'll succeed. Believe it firmly, and then you'll do what is necessary to bring success about." Close quote. Yes, as we develop that sense of certainty that positive beliefs provide, we'll be able to accomplish virtually anything, including those things that others think might be impossible. If we're to achieve the goal of being strong, caring, compassionate leaders in our homes, in our businesses, in our communities, and yes, in our nation, we must first believe in our heart of hearts that we can. We must believe that it is possible to control our thoughts, our words, our actions, and to be in control of our lives mentally, physically, emotionally, socially, with our finances, and in all of our relationships. We must believe that we can self-lead at the highest level, that we can lead by example, which, as you know, is the very best way to lead. And those who follow our good examples will in turn lead others, who will then be more likely to become great leaders themselves. And to take belief a step further, I'd like to suggest that to be highly influential leaders, we must believe that our world can be a better place, and we can be the change we wish to see in the world, as the benevolent leader Gandhi said. I'd like to share a saying that hung in Mother Teresa's office, written by Kent Keith. Mother Teresa said that she read it often. To me, this illustrates self-governance magnificently. It goes like this: people are often unreasonable and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you're kind, people may accuse you of ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you're honest, people may cheat you. Be honest anyway. If you find happiness, people may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today may be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give your best anyway. For you see, in the end, it's between you and God. It never was between you and them anyway. I love that. The second thing that we can do to excel in self-leadership is to shift and shine. What is the shift that we need to make to have the kind of caring hearts that are characteristic of the leaders that you most and I most admire? I believe it begins with knowing that we don't need to go looking for kindness. We don't need to go looking for love or for joy. We already have those qualities inherently within us, and we can access them at any time. Now, at times we might feel overwhelmed if we think that we're supposed to be leaders who can solve the water problems in Africa or eliminate the strife in Syria. What we're talking about now is working on self-leadership by recognizing that we may need a heart shift. Shifting our hearts is like rearranging our DNA. It's like an awakening. When we are living wide awake, our understanding and consciousness is at a higher level, and then we can see the beauty, the abundance, the goodness all around us that's begging to be seen, yearning to be acknowledged, and longing to be shared. Self-leadership, I believe, requires us to understand that this shifting causes us to be more tolerant, to be more forgiving, more patient and kind. And these are all traits of truly great leaders. People who can self-govern, self-lead, can be recognized easily because they shine. These are those with strong spirits and indomitable wills who are all firmly rooted in 5 things. People who know how to self-govern stand on a foundation of powerful, positive beliefs, moral values, optimistic attitudes, never give up work ethics, and a deep hope for a better future. People who self-lead refuse to be victims of their circumstances, and they choose to have joyful hearts, no matter what's happening around them and who is trying to bring them down. Misery is not an option for them. So many men and women who exemplify this all over the world. I've had the honor to meet so many of them as I've co-presented over 400 events in 152 nations during the past 30 years. I've taught, and I've loved, and I've laughed, and I've learned so much in nations worldwide. And I've seen thousands of wonderful women and men who will never be famous or rich, but they shine and they're happy. Yes, some of my friends in the Kibera slums in Kenya, where 1 million people live in 1 square mile. They're happier than many of the people who live across the lake from me in 10,000 square foot homes. Why? Well, that's a whole other presentation, my friends. We need to move on. The third thing that we can do to excel in self-leadership is to eliminate ego. What does that mean? It means that we need to slough off the pride and the fear of many things, of not having enough, of not being enough, of not knowing enough, of not being good enough. If we are to self-lead, we need to release the negativity and let go of that part of us that covets and resents and blames, that refuses to forgive and holds on to anger and jealousy, that focuses on self. Eliminating ego means to let go of that part of us that seeks out the faults in ourselves and in others. Ego is all negativity that originates from selfishness, false beliefs, and fearful perceptions. Eliminating ego is the most difficult of the 5 self-leadership keys for many people. However, it's also the most powerful. Why? Because when ego is eliminated, the result is a change of heart. Again, think of the greatest leaders throughout the ages that you admire, and some that you admire now. Their egos are not in the way because they see leadership as an opportunity to serve their fellow men. The 4th key is to lighten up and love. A reminder to us all is that we can lighten up by simply not sweating the small stuff and living in gratitude, paying attention to the many things we do have, and focusing on the good things in our lives. Dale Carnegie said, happiness doesn't depend on outer conditions. It depends on inner conditions. It isn't what we have or where we are, what we're doing that makes us happy or unhappy. It's what we think about it. There was this wonderful substantial study on happiness completed at Stanford University years ago. And here's the conclusion. Happy people and unhappy people tend to have had very similar life experiences. The difference is that the average unhappy person spends more than twice as much time thinking about unpleasant events in their lives. And happy people tend to seek and rely upon information that brightens their personal outlook. Close quote. So one of the indications of those who self-govern well is their ability to be flexible and cheerful, which is also an indication of their strength of character, because that's often very difficult, right? And the last key to self-leadership is to embody and promote peace. Of course, that requires us to have peace in our own hearts and to do all that we can to have peace in our homes. If we cannot find peace in our hearts, we'll never find it anywhere else. And we will fail at both self-leadership and leaving a legacy as life-changing leaders. My friends, we can each create the inner peace or discord that flows out into the world. We cannot help increase the level of peace in our lives and in our families and in our world if our hearts are riddled with inner conflict or hatred, doubt, or anger, as I mentioned before. We radiate the feelings and thoughts that we hold inside, whether we speak them or not. Whatever is splashing around inside of us is spilling out into the world, creating beauty or discord with all other circles of life. My friends, now is the best time in the history of the world to increase the peace on earth, because there is a rising and an awakening of humanity like never before, as more and more people are realizing that increased peace is possible. Why? Because although there will always be hatred and strife on our planet, more and more people are making peace a priority. They are realizing that together we can join hands and link arms, connecting and collaborating and refusing to believe that war is the answer. The answer is to have peace in our hearts and in our homes, which will increase the peace in our communities and our nations. Great leaders promote peace. Perhaps we can begin by believing in the goodness of mankind. We know there is much, much more good than bad in our world. People are inherently kind and loving. They are. And we all want the same thing. Yes, people in every home and every nation want the same exact thing. We all want to be safe and happy. We all want to be loved and appreciated. And we all want to know that our lives matter. Oh, and each life does matter. Each life is precious. Every splash and every ripple in the waters of humanity matters. My friends, let us lean on each other as we learn, and yes, as we love one another, and do all we can to self-lead well as we believe and become, shift and shine, eliminate ego, lighten up in love, and promote peace. I have loved being with you. Thank you so much.